Okay, so I've been waiting for these things to drop since they were first announced back at CES 2017. And for those who don't know, these are the Sony XB950N1. And what makes these earphones stand out is their extra bass feature. These earphones are made for people who don't just like bass, they're meant for people who really love bass. So are the Sony XB950N1 worth your money or worth an upgrade? Let's find out. Alright, let's talk money. The Sony XB950N1 are the new kid on the block and currently retail for around $250. They currently come in two colorways. You can get them in black or you can also get them in green. I personally really like that green one, but I was only able to get the black ones. If you want to save some cash, you can also get the Sony XB950B1 for about $50 cheaper. You'll just be missing out on features like noise cancellation, overall sound quality improvements, and a slightly longer battery life. I'll have links in the description below so you can pick either one of these up. Unboxing these actual earphones is really nothing special. Once you lift the lid for the box that came inside the box are the actual earphones themselves. Under the earphones you'll find some documentation, a soft carrying case, an audio cable, and a USB cable. Sadly there's no wall wart included, so you'll have to use a USB slot on your computer or your own wall wart to charge these headphones up. For people out there who have never seen the Sony XB950N1 or the XB950B1 in person, just know these earphones are huge. For the most part, over-the-ear headphones are big, but personally, I think the Sony XB950N1 and the B1 just take the cake. They're so big that when you put them on, you can actually still see them in your peripheral vision. Concerning materials, the majority of these earphones is made up of plastic. There is some metal on the headband, which does limit the flexibility a bit. Just as you expect, the padding on these earphones is very soft. The padding also doesn't overheat after long listening sessions. The ear cups themselves swivel and pivot very smoothly. These earphones are also now foldable, which is a new feature that isn't found on last year's model. Connectivity wise, these earphones are using Bluetooth 4.1 and they'll work just fine with almost any device. Range on these guys is around 30 feet, 40 feet if you're really lucky and have direct line of sight to whatever device you're streaming off of. There's also an NFC contact patch on one of the ear cups so you can make setup a little easier if you have an Android device. Personally, I would have really liked to have seen these earphones come with a W1 chip instead. Being able to switch between either of my Apple devices so effortlessly has spoiled me. On the bottom of the left ear cup, you'll find the power button, the bass effect button, more on this in just a second, a micro USB slot, and an audio jack input, and a noise cancellation button. On the bottom of the other headphone cup, you'll find the volume rocker and a play pause dongle. This little dongle does take some getting used to, but I really like this concept. And when it comes to battery life, you can expect to get around 22 hours of playback time if you're using them wirelessly and with noise cancellation on. If you listen to them with noise cancellation off and at a lower volume, you will get slightly longer battery life. Although these earphones are really big, they're still very lightweight and comfortable to wear. The sound quality of these earphones is vastly improved from the sound quality of the XB950B1. Although these earphones are meant for people who absolutely love bass, these earphones still sound good, period. Vocals, mids, lows, and highs all sound very clear, and these earphones also have a very wide soundstage. And obviously, when it comes to bass, these things sound like nothing out there on the market right now. The bass on these things is just this clear and clean thump that doesn't take away from the overall sound quality like other earphones do. And when the bass really starts going on these earphones, they're basically just massaging the side of your head. The best thing about these earphones is that you can actually control the amount of bass from your smartphone app. Personally, I like a little more bass, so I've raised mine to 7. The app also lets you change the surround effect for your earphones, but after playing with it, I'm just gonna keep that one off. It really just distorts the sound for me. I also wore these earphones on a plane a few days ago and found the noise cancellation to be very good. Everything from the airplane cabin noise to traffic and even just people in terminals was filtered out nicely. I also noticed that the noise cancellation on the XB950N1 didn't give me any kind of headache after a while like the Bose QC35 do. I have asked other people if they get headaches from wearing the QC35 and for the most part they said no. So I guess I'm just a special snowflake. The extra bass feature on these earphones is not just great for music, but it's also just as good for action movies. Action scenes and explosions just come to life and it's almost like you're there, except you're not getting shot at. Like I mentioned earlier, these earphones also came included with a carrying case, an audio cable, and a micro USB cable. If you decide to use your earphones wired, you can still benefit from the bass boost goodness. Also, in order to get a full charge on these earphones, it's gonna take about 7 hours. Concerning the carrying case, I am a little disappointed. You really just get a bag that doesn't do much of anything. Overall, the Sony XB950N1 is a big improvement over the XB950B1. They sound better, their noise cancellation is very decent, they have a 22-hour battery life, and being able to control the bass level is a very welcome feature. A few critiques I need to point out are the buttons on these earphones. Since they're flush with the surface, it can be a little hard to know what you're pressing. I would also like to see some type of quick charging feature on these earphones. And like I mentioned earlier, I would have liked to have seen these earphones come with a W1 chip instead. But besides that, these earphones are great for people who love bass, listen to a lot of hip hop, techno, or R&B, or like to watch a lot of action movies. These are up there in my top 3 favorite earphones. Hey, if you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could, please high-five the like button, it helps the channel grow. If you like videos like this, subscribe. There are more product reviews and fitness advice videos coming. For more, check out jimcaddy.net, and I'll catch you next time.